Fighter pay has been a much discussed topic in MMA recently, but this is by no means a new discussion. There is currently an antitrust lawsuit started by a number of ex-UFC fighters including Kung Lee, Nathan Quarry, John Fitch, and the top of Brandon Vera's head. And these fighters are alleging that the UFC's parent company, Zuffa LLC, cost UFC fighters up to $1.6 billion between December 16, 2010 and June 30th, 2017. They are stating that had the UFC not engaged in unfair practices to restrict the competition and keep the UFC's monopoly and monopsony chokehold on the MMA market, then fighters would have received a much higher proportion of the overall revenue, closer aligned to what we see in other major sports. The lawsuit also alleges Dana White and the UFC would use tactics like tying up fighters in their contracts with special clauses, sometimes indefinitely, swapping fighters to less favorable card positions, as well as a number of other shady practices.
That's fucking illegal.
The validity of these claims is of course still being decided in the courts. However, the lawsuit was granted class action status in September 2020, meaning over 1,200 fighters who fought with the UFC between 2010 and 2017 can now join the suit represented by one of the plaintiffs much more easily. The judge who granted the new status expects this decision to eventually be referred to the Supreme Court, which would likely lead to some very entertaining testimony, perhaps even topping Dana's in 2017, where he referred to himself as a fight genius. If the lawsuit is successful, there will be far-reaching implications for the UFC and potentially for all current and future fighters. And because it's an antitrust case, and apparently some of America's laws were invented by lobbyists for board game companies, any settlement that is reached will be automatically times by 3. This could cost the UFC up to $4.8 billion, and a judge could rule the UFC's current owner Endeavor, who bought the majority stake from Zuffa in 2016, to permanently change the way they deal with competition and how fighter pay is structured. Unlucky for Endeavor, they won't get off that easily. There is currently a second lawsuit against them and the UFC for fighters from 2017 to the present, alleging many of the same issues. It could be a long time, even years, before either of these cases receives a ruling, but it is certainly an interesting time in MMA.